about. You're not educated on
Would you
genetics.
actually like to discuss the genetics or no?
Well, no,
what
no.
are your genetics, sir?
So I'd stay away from the genetics and back to the brain scans.
You cut that out now, or you'll go home in an ambulance.
Yeah, that seems mildly inappropriate for a political...
Oh my goodness.
What?
Are you serious? She literally threatened him on live television. This tells you a lot about tolerance and so on that some of these people like to promote. Whew. Okay, let me get into the heart of this thing. Before we do this, make sure you give this video a thumbs up, like, and subscribe to the page. Click the bell icon for more, okay? Without further ado, let's get into the heart of this message.
So it begins.
Being brave is being yourself, and being transgender is about the bravest thing you can do. Did she deserve the award? Yes.
Why are we mainstreaming delusion?
It's not delusion.
Discuss the question by Ben Shapiro. Ben Shapiro speaks his mind. Did you hear the question? Why are we mainstreaming delusion? Yeah, and this is actually talking about Caitlyn Jenner being called the Woman of the Year. She wasn't even a woman for a whole year when she got the award, which seems to me there's an agenda behind that. So real women didn't get it, but identified woman, a trans woman, gets it before everybody else. Okay, fine. It is what it is. It's the world. But listen to the question.
Did she deserve the award? Yes.
Why are we mainstreaming delusion?
It's not delusion.
Why would you call it delusion?
Because...
Yeah, I said it.
It is delusional, somebody says. It really is. The thing is, it's not a matter of being disrespectful, but if you say, if you're a man and you believe you are a woman and you're pushing that ideology on others, it is somewhat delusional because you're believing to be somebody that you are not, something that you are not, is really delusional. If it's not, everything else should be accepted then. We can come up with anything. That's why some people can say, I'm a TERF now. I what is it called? A furry. I identify as a puppy, as a dog. And you say, that's crazy. That's lunacy. And well, it kind of is. It's delusional all around. And there was a lady who said, I identify as black. She was a white lady. People got upset. It's like, well, that's delusional. Well, it is delusional. It's wild. You can never be black. And the same is true when it comes to gender. You can never be a different gender than the one you were born. To do this, you actually have to defy all sciences and all biology, and you have to defy God in his face. And I know it's mainstream discussion today to accept these things as so, because majority of the world believes something, or because a group believes something doesn't make it true either.
Bruce Caitlyn Jenner, I'll call him Caitlyn Jenner.
No,
because
it's
that's
her. You're not being polite to the pronouns.
Because
disrespect.
Okay, forget about the disrespect. Facts don't care about your feelings.
Preach.
Facts don't care. There's a whole book he wrote, Facts Don't Care About Your Feelings. I need to look into that book. Yeah, you're being disrespectful for not surrendering to the compelled speech, which is another issue as well. I mean, people can choose to call a he, a she, or they, them pronoun, but that cannot be forced. Now, you can ask, and a person can choose to do it. And for them not to do it doesn't mean they are wrong, because what you're asking for is wrong. What you're asking us to do with talking and saying certain pronouns because you feel like you deserve them, it's narcissistic, and it does trample upon my own freedom of speech and freedom of thoughts. And the other thing is, whenever you can manipulate my words and control the things that I say, you have power over my thinking. That's very dangerous stuff. This goes into the very fabric of what makes us human. This is some very individuality stuff you're touching right now. And that's not okay. So facts don't care about your feeling, he says.
Disrespect.
Okay, forget about the disrespect. Facts don't care about your feelings. It turns out that every chromosome, every cell in Caitlyn Jenner's body is male with the exception of some of his sperm cells. It turns out that his brain structure is male.
Wait, it
turns out that he still has all of his male appendages. How do you feel?
Game over, man. Game over.
And that's weird. The weird thing is, women. A lot of women are pushing for this stuff. What they don't realize, the transgender movement violates womanhood. That's why in women's sport now there's a big serious issue, but this stuff is getting wilder and wilder. This is a slippery slope. It doesn't end. And I think a lot of women are now waking up and say, wait, something's wrong with this. Yeah, something's wrong with it. Is a lot of women who are pushing back against the patriarchy, the male dominant kind of society. And they were complaining about all of these male dominant stuff. But at the heart of the transgender movement is still the same spirit of the patriarchy. But the only difference is that it's coming from a different angle. So instead of men coming and taking over, these men come with a veneer of womanhood and still take over. So you notice the trans rights are becoming more acceptable than women's rights. Women's are being told they can't complain. Women's are not allowed to voice their opinion against this. Some women in locker rooms were told, it's just the way it is. We're going to have this person who identify as whatever. Even having done no bottom surgery, no surgery has been done, which still doesn't change anything for me. But at least we can say there's no danger down there, But the thing is, it's just the nature of some of this stuff is so deadly and sad. And women are supporting this, not realizing by supporting it, you are demoting your own values.
Feels on the inside is irrelevant to the question of his biological sex.
I don't agree with that. I'm not on that train. I'm not on that train. She wants to be called she. I'm going to call her she.
Okay.
You need to stop. I don't agree with that. I'm not on that train. Like, bruh, if you don't stand for something, you fall for anything. Some of these men, I don't know what done happened to them. I mean, you don't have to be disrespectful, but at least make a bold stand for what is right.
So you don't know what you're talking about. You're not educated on genetics.
Would you like to discuss the genetics or not?
Well, no,
what
no.
are your genetics? Sir?
Zoe, I'd stay away from the genetics.
You have been warned.
Uh-oh. He's offended. He's offended. Now watch the move.
On
Would you
genetics.
like to discuss the genetics or not?
Well, no,
what
no.
are your genetics? Sir?
Zoe, I'd stay away from the genetics and back to the brain scans.
You cut that out now, or you'll go home in an ambulance.
What was that about?
Ben Shapiro did. That is crazy. That is a serious threat. You cut that out now, or you go home in an ambulance. That tells you a lot about people who want to be tolerated and accepted, how intolerant they can be when you cross them. But Ben Shapiro did say something that I thought was really funny, though. He said, going home in an ambulance? Who go home in an ambulance? Now, we go to the hospital in an ambulance. But if you think about that was just a grave mistake here. But look at the threat. Look how serious of a threat that is just because he didn't get his way in that argument.
Away from the genetics and back to the brain scans.
You cut that out now, or you'll go home in an ambulance.
Yeah, that seems mildly inappropriate for a political discussion. Yeah, this one was wild. There's a lot to this particular backstory. So, first of all, I was invited on the program, and backstage, the producer says, I used to produce Jerry Springer. This should have been my first hint that things were going to get wild. And I said, you know my perspective on this. And the person said, right, that's why we're having you on. We want it to be like a lively debate. We want you to just express your opinions and everything. All right, fine. So then the way they seat this, obviously, is they seat Zoe Tur right next to me. And pretty quickly, this thing goes off the rails, because the moment that anybody suggests that perhaps a genetic male is actually a genetic male, and that a genetic male who believes he is a female is just a delusional male, that apparently is unsayable. Now, again, that's not to suggest that gender dysphoria isn't tragic. It is tragic. But to suggest that a person with gender dysphoria is therefore a member of the sex to which they claim membership is, of course, absurd on its face. So, as you can see, this debate started to go off the rails even before Zoe Tur decided to get physical in the debate. You can see people saying that I'm being disrespectful to pronouns, which is bizarre because pronouns aside from facts not having feelings, actually pronouns don't have feelings either, as it turns out. And then the entire movement of the debate away from the realm of the rational toward we're just going to insult people, and Zoe Tur suggested, you don't know anything about genetics, little boy, you don't know anything about genetics. And when I asked him about his genetics, that's when the physical threat came out. What was funny is right after this, when the rest of the panel immediately swiveled and turned on me. You knew you were going to offend Zoe that way. You knew you were going to offend Zoe.
That's just crazy. Instead of protecting the man who is physically being threatened, they still protected the transgender person. What was that Family Guy cartoon says about the trans people again?
Excuse me, ma'am. No porn at the bar.
Oh, it's okay. I'm transgender.
Oh, I had no idea. Do whatever you want all the time.
Yeah, they get to do whatever they want all the time. That is crazy. The amount of privilege that I think I'm okay with the fact that they are loved and respected and treated like everybody else. That's actually a good thing in a free society. I'm not against that. But I don't think your rights should trample other people's rights. I don't think your views and your perception of yourself should dominate mine. I don't think I should have to be subjected to your emotion because of the way you feel. I don't have to be. I can respect you, but I can actually disagree with you. I can actually criticize you. I can actually point out some things about you that is wrong, just like you can do for me as a Christian, as a minister. You can call out whatever hypocrisy you find in my life, whatever thing I might be doing that's wrong as a Christian. You're supposed to be doing that, and that helps me to be a better person. That's not a bad thing, but these people cannot seem to take criticism very well.
Number one, I generally refer, honest to goodness, I promise you this. I was not thinking in the moment, I'm going to call this person sir in order to insult them. This is a large physical male sitting next to me who's speaking directly to me.
Are you saying that men and women are identical?
I believe that. I believe that because the truth is, it is a sir, but to call them ma'am, you can, but you know, in your heart, you're lying. But the thing is, naturally, we just address people for what we see. We are not naturally trying to be rude and disrespectful to people. I don't think Ben in any way was doing that. But it still doesn't matter, though. You know how this culture is. It's still offensive and transphobic and so on, according to them. You're still a bigot and a dinosaur. Okay.
And that's how I speak to men. I mean, this is a man. And so it sort of came out unconsciously. And then the fact that Zoe Tur got physical about it and started making physically violent threats on the set, that was something I didn't expect to happen. My main reaction there was just puzzlement. I honestly could not believe that this was a thing that was happening on national television. It was absolute bizarro world. After this happened, Zoe Tur, on the way out, kind of growled at me, "I'll see you in the parking lot, little boy." And I was like, well, that is a weird take. As my mother later said, not very ladylike behavior. And
not very ladylike behavior. It's crazy how, under the right circumstances, Zoe Tur stopped being a woman to be a man because he's got a point to prove. I'll see you in the parking lot. Sounds like something you say to your high school enemy.
I said, well, no, I'm not going to meet you in the parking lot. That's a thing that's not going to happen. And then later, of course, Zoe Tur threatened to curb stomp me on Twitter, also not super ladylike behavior. And the debate turned into, you're not allowed to use somebody's pronouns when you are, somebody's proper genetic pronouns, when you are talking to them on national TV. Now, as I've said before, if I am in a conversation with somebody at dinner and they're a friend, this is not a public debate, I'll call you whatever you want to be called. I really don't care. But when it comes to having a public debate about whether a male is in fact a male or a female is in fact a female, I'm not going to cede the ground of the argument by going along with the lie that a genetic male is in fact a female. So that's sort of the backstory there. What a bizarre moment in time that was.
Men should be men and women should be women.
Yeah, in the middle of a debate, you cannot expect me to surrender my thoughts. But because the debate had something to do with that. So therefore, I'm going to stick to my reality. And you can believe whatever you want. And that's what it is, man. You know, I'm saddened by the condition of our country today. I'm saddened by it, you know. Some of this stuff is really sad to watch. And I don't think we need to be disrespectful and stuff like that to people. I'm not, because if you meet me on a regular day, you will not even. Most of my thoughts I might share on YouTube, but a lot of the person that I am, I'm very, very quiet. I only speak when I need to speak. So I don't say too much. You know, the most you're gonna get out of me is on YouTube and or when I'm preaching. So unless you ask me for an advice or something, you're gonna get something out of me. But for the most part, you will never know that I hold certain views and perspective concerning certain matters, especially concerning the trends and what's happening with that. Well, the thing is, there is an attack on truth, like I've said before, and I'll say it again. Under the notion of trans rights and so on, what is being crucified here is truth. Matter of fact, reality is under attack. I will go as far as to say God is under attack, but it's being done in a very progressive and acceptable and supported by politicians and so on. If you abide in my word, you are truly my disciples, and you will know the truth, and the truth will set you free. That truth is the same truth that is found in Jesus Christ, who is the way, the truth, and the life. John 14:6. And we are told that his word is the truth, John 17:17. And the word of God sanctifies you. So, to the trans community, I don't know what happens, what's going on mentally. I'm pretty sure it's not an easy thought to be. There's a lot happening that I don't understand, so I'm not going to criticize your thinking. But God didn't do this to you. God didn't make it that way. And getting mad at those who do not understand you doesn't really help your case very much. Because if you happen to be trans and you're going through some serious mental health issues, you know, taking this attitude of a cancel culture, it's not the way to go about it. Being disrespectful and rude and stuff, calling people crazy names, transphobic and everything, doesn't actually change anybody's perception of you. Now, we might be afraid enough not to offend you. What I'm trying to say is this. I think one of the most important reality that we need right now is for the truth to be accepted for what it is. The truth that is revealed in Scripture, the truth about God, the truth about Christ and his word, the truth about gender as it is revealed in the word of God, that need to be accepted. And that's something that we have lost sight of in our culture. A large class of people are losing that reality. And you just need to get back to it. You just need to come to a point where you can accept the person that you are and be content with God and in your own flesh. For some, this is something they're not willing to do, but there are others that are doing it. There are others that are doing it. They are waking up to the reality of what God created. What Satan has done with the mind, confusing us, I'm sure he's powerful. He knows what he's doing. But God is a restorer. He's a restorer of those who diligently seek him. So if you are diligent enough to be restored and be made whole, to find your personality again, to find your personhood, to rediscover yourself as God sees you, you have to be diligent. You have to be willing. You have to have faith. And it's amazing what God can do when you choose to trust in him. It's amazing what he can do. Thank you so much for checking out this video with me. Until next time, and as always, remember to look unto Jesus and to live by faith. Have a good one. Bye.